bring in ABC News contributor and Law and Crime Network host Brian Buckmeyer for more. Brian, the report says that Thomas didn't report the gifts on his annual financial disclosure filings. That omission, ethics experts say, violates a code of conduct for federal officials. Does that mean anything legally?
Then it actually doesn't. The Supreme Court does not have any governing body or code of conduct that they themselves must follow. Supreme Court justices in the past, specifically Ryan Quest and even Chief Justice Roberts, has said that they will consult what the lower federal court judges will use as a code of conduct, but there's nothing binding there. And we've seen this before in the past with Justice Scalia and Justice Breyer taking these type of hospitality trips.
And we just got a statement from Justice Thomas. I want to read this. It's kind of long, but it says, Harlan and Kathy Crow are among our dearest friends, and we have been friends for over 25 years. As friends do, we have joined them on a number of family trips during more than a quarter century that we've known them. Early in my tenure at the court, I sought guidance from my colleagues and others in the judiciary and was advised that this sort of personal hospitality from close personal friends who did not have business before the court was not reportable. I have endeavored to follow that counsel through my tenure and have always sought to comply with the disclosure guidelines. These guidelines are now being changed as the committee of the Judicial Conference responsible for financial disclosure for the entire federal judiciary just this past month announced new guidance, and it is, of course, my intent to follow this guidance in the future. I want to bring Devin Dwyer back into this conversation. Devin Dwyer, what do you make of the justices' statements here? I followed the rules as I was told and as they existed, and if the rules change and as the rules change, I will continue to follow them, essentially.
Well, Justice Thomas does have a point, and we should say, Diane, that over the years, all of the justices, including liberal justices, have had close personal relationships with people, wealthy people of all political persuasions, and traveled in many cases, sometimes on private jets to various destinations. What was significant about this report, as you've been talking about, was the scope and the amount of money that Clarence Thomas, received in kind with this travel, and none of that was reported. Federal law passed after the Watergate scandal said that justices, all federal officials, had to report on financial disclosure forms any sort of income, including gifts and travel, that could compromise their impartiality and their integrity. They do not need to, the law says, disclose, personal meals, personal hospitality, stays at people's homes. That is exempt. So you could say some of the things that were reported here would not have been required for disclosure even under existing guidelines. And I think Clarence Thomas is alluding to some of that, but it's the travel, it's the flights, it's the cruises that have raised the most concern over 2 decades here. Clarence Thomas saying he was invited, as we heard from Harlan Crow yesterday, as a personal friend. But certainly the fact that that amount of money from someone so influential was not disclosed is just another blow to the court's credibility. He's not the only one that has failed to disclose certain things over time. That is for sure. But certainly this is something that has raised a lot of eyebrows legitimately, I think, although now the justice says he will continue and abide by some new rules which were just enacted a couple weeks ago.
Now, Brian, congressional Democrats have been trying to pass legislation for years that would implement an enforceable code of conduct on the 9 justices. Senate Democrats are now again urging the passage of the Supreme Court Ethics Act. So what would that act actually do?
Well, Diane, first, we would probably create a legal battle, because we've heard in the past that Chief Justice Roberts has said that the legislative branch of the United States cannot enact types of laws like this that would be enforceable upon the judicial branch. For the most part, the justices of the Supreme Court have elected to follow the guidelines for the other lower federal justices as to how they will conduct themselves with these gifts. And when we talk about hospitality or personal gifts, those are keywords or buzzwords that are allowed through the loophole of reporting that the Supreme Court justices have chosen to follow. The question becomes is whether or not this can be enforced upon the Supreme Court justices, and if they do violate it, then what repercussions could be used? Could it be impeachment or something to a different degree?
All right, Brian Buckmeyer, thanks for the legal analysis, as always.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.